even from this podcast, like if someone who's Latino or Latinx or Afro-Latino or Black is listening to me, I'm not gonna say, some people would get in here and say, man, this is hard. If I was younger, I wouldn't, if I was a kid, I wouldn't try it. Like, I've heard other actors, you hear people tell their, I don't want my kids in this business. I tell them it's too long. I'm like, no, this is amazing. It's amazing to be able to do what we do, to tell stories for a living, and anybody can do it if you pull up your bootstraps and you make sure that you become good at it, because that's the way that you succeed. You don't succeed by not by not studying, by not jumping in now. If you're a little kid and you want to be an actor, start now. You better get on stage, get into sketches, start reading and writing as much as you can creatively. It's like an elite athlete. I would say being a professional actor is like being in the Olympics or playing in the Super Bowl. And what do? All these athletes, they train all the time. They're always practicing indoor training all the time. So as an actor, you have to do that.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Jon Huertas is an actor. He sat down with me in Midtown Manhattan to talk about the work.
Do you have a typical way that you like to begin your preparation process for a role?
I use the BMS Technique.
Which is what? What is this?
By myself. I like to go off by myself and work on my shit. And a lot of people like to work with other people. They do the coaching thing. They get together with people that they have studied with, or they've worked with, or significant others, and they help themselves prepare. I just go off by myself and really. I like to read the material as many times as I can, so I really just understand what the story is. And the overall story, as an actor, you're just a piece of the story. You have to figure out what your character is there for. And so, I think you don't know what your character is there for unless you really understand the story, the way the writer understands the story, the way the director understands the story, the way the producers and anyone else involved understands the story, so that you can understand what your part in the story is. So I think just reading a lot by myself, the BMS technique, and just so immersing myself in it, and then you can figure out I just try to figure out how would I be as this character in this situation. If my job wasn't an actor, and my job was whatever my character's job was, whether he's a cop, a doctor, a lawyer, a criminal, whatever, what would I do within the context of this story? And that's it. For me, I've studied a lot, college classes, coaching, all that, and I feel like for me, it's about just having a toolbox. You have all these tools in a toolbox, and you got to figure out which tools you're going to use for this job. And you bring those tools along to the job. So that's what I do. It's not heady. I don't get into my head. And I hope for a good director, because I think I'm one of the actors that needs a great director. I like a great director. I don't want to, and I don't, like you mentioned earlier, over directing. I definitely don't want that, but I don't want under directing either. Just letting me do what I do, unless there's also the episodic television thing where you have if you've been in a character's skin for 6 seasons, and you have a guest director that comes in, they have to understand that you probably know your character very well,
right? Better
than this director is going to know your character. So let's collaborate on the scene. I like to try to get an idea what that director wants out of the scene.
Yes.
And out of me in the scene. What do you want out of it? And then we'll figure out how to get there. And you don't have to give me a lot of direction as far as we see your character as this. Well, my character's already this, so I love that you see my character as that, but you can't be like that. So I think that it's very my approach is very simple. The BMS technique.
we got to go back. Wait.
In time?
Yeah. This.
Time machine up in this motherfucker.
What's the story like? You made a nun cry. I mean, like, so a nun told you, like, gave you a role as punishment. You made her cry, and it kind of changed your artistic life. Did I just say the whole story?
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it was basically like, I used to get in trouble a lot. She made me, I think she wanted to find an outlet for me. And, when I performed, I had sang a solo, and I think I don't think she wasn't bawling. She was like just wiping like a tear. But it just, for me, it showed me that doing this kind of stuff, on stage elicits an emotional response from people.
Yeah.
And so it felt interesting. It felt good to be able to, have someone change someone's emotional state with a performance. Right. So, some people take, a hit of heroin and they love it, and they're like, I'm gonna keep doing some heroin. So that's, for me, it was very similar. I like affected someone emotionally. That hit my veins, hit my heart, and I was like, well, imagine if I can do that. Whether it's crying or laughing, it was usually making people laugh is really my drug of choice, because it made me feel better about myself, probably. So yeah, I think that's basically the heart of that story, is just like, and I think most actors, if you can, either you're getting a response from somebody else, and that is what you're going after to affect that person, or if you affect that person, what do you get from that? And that's what they need. So it's either, I think different actors maybe have different takes on that, but that's my take.
When did you take it into a place where you're like, this is serious? Like, was there a moment where, like,
episode 7 last year. Finally. No, I'm just kidding.
No, was there, you know what I mean? Like, where it was like, this is not only like, do I want to do this and it's fun, like, not only am I getting the hit, but I'm becoming a professional junkie, is basically what I'm asking.
I mean, I think high school, I really, that's when I was saying, well, how do I do this professionally? And you get the guidance of, you got to go to undergrad, maybe get your master's, move to New York, do theater, and then, maybe somebody sees you on stage and, says, why don't you do movies or do television? That was kind of like what you're taught. That's what everyone believes is the trajectory for becoming a professional actor. And so I believed that, and I went after that. I had a whole different, kind of way that I got there. But then you have to at some point you have to make a decision. All right, I'm going to move to the place where I can, have a better chance at working professionally, which is New York or LA. And I made the decision to move to LA when I was probably 22, 23. I was living in Louisiana, and I made a decision in a couple of years, I'm going to move to LA and try to be a professional actor. And that's what I did. Mm-hmm. So you have to be in the place. You have to be, I do talk to people who, there's a guy I know who, he lives in Jersey, right? And he lives far enough away from the city where he can't really, I think, be in the mix. Mm-hmm. But he's always trying to get my advice. I met him because he was part of a team that made a really cool project that I found on Vimeo, and I reached out to them, and I said, you have to move, man. You have to I feel like you have to immerse yourself in the world to, first of all, find your people, the people that are going to help you get there. Surround yourself with those people, right? So you have to surround yourself with those people, and you have to, it's scary, but you have to jump off the ledge. Yeah. You have to understand the water's deep enough. You're not going to die when you hit the ground or hit the water. Water's deep enough. Then you hit the water and you just have to swim. You have to tread water. You tread water first, then you have to swim. You have to go after the shore, the platform, whatever. You have to go after your dream of being a filmmaker, director, writer, actor, whatever it is. Crew grip, gaffer. Like there's so many different things you can do in this
Yeah.
business that it's interesting
Yeah.
and fun, and you're part of like, you know, making people's dreams come true.
Yes.
That's what that's what making a movie is. Like there's a writer that dreamed up this idea.
Yeah.
You make that movie, that you just made that writer's dream come true.
Yeah.
And then whoever starred in the movie, you made that person's dream came true.
Yeah.
Anthony Ramos in The Heights
Yeah.
is the lead of that movie. It made his dream just came true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you have to be brave enough to go after that dream. What do they say? Like, you know, in wealthy circles, like you don't become wealthy without taking risk.
Yeah.
You don't become successful without taking risk. Like the most successful people, the wealthiest people have taken huge risks.
Yeah.
They've risked a lot of money. They've risked relationships. They've risked, you know,
That's true.
bankruptcy. People have taken risks. When Brad Pitt moved to LA, he took a risk.
Yeah.
And he's Brad Pitt.
You don't
Tom
hear a lot of
Cruise.
stories about like, I was just like on my couch and I stayed there and they came to me.
Tom Cruise didn't get discovered living in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He moved.
Yeah.
So you have to get into the pool. You have to get into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're going to, you know, get a sunburn.
Yeah. Just have the towel nearby.
Every once in a while, you got to get out and dry off, right? You're going to get all wrinkled up and shriveled and shit. I've been in the water a long time. I'm all wrinkled up.
So what is this idea of stank in auditions?
Stank?
Yeah.
Did I say that?
Come on. You're a good actor. You're pretending like you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember saying that.
Okay, well, so
Maybe I did.
well, tell me about there's an amazing story of the Castle audition, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me that story.
Yeah, I sucked. I stank in that audition. If that's the word
No,
that
no,
I
but
used. But yeah, you know, I went in the audition and I guess I wasn't as prepared as I thought, or maybe I don't know what happened. I just wasn't in a fog. I was prepared because I'm always prepared for my auditions, but I think I went in, and I usually like to go in and like get right to work. Not a lot of small talk with the people at first, or it depends on the mood really that I'm in. Sometimes I do like to have that small talk, but most of the time I don't like to have that small talk. I like to get into the to the work, and then I'll have the small talk. And I think they got into the small talk beforehand, and I don't know. I just felt like I stumbled through that audition. It wasn't very good, and I wanted to do it again. I was like, "Can I?" And if I want to do it again, I just ask them.
Yeah.
I usually tell them I'm going to do it again. And
I think if they want to stop you, they'll stop. Yeah.
I think on this one, because I already knew I messed up, I think I asked them because I was a little, out of my game for a second.
Yeah.
So I asked them, "Can I do it again?" And they were like, "No, it was great." And I was like, okay. And then I left and I walked out and I saw a really good friend of mine who I just worked with in Africa on Generation Kill. David Barrero was sitting out there. Another friend of mine was sitting out there, and I said, "Hey guys, that's yours to get because I know I'm out." I just blew it. Good luck in there. And I want my brothers to have the same success that anybody can have. So if I don't get a job, you get the job, and vice versa. And we shuffle around like that anyway. So I called my manager when I got in my car, and I was like, "Yo, can you please give them a call, the casting directors, because I did like their casting office and like having a good relationship." I said, give them a call and just tell them that I apologize. I apologize for wasting their time. I know, I was in there for 10 minutes. I wasted 10 minutes of all their time. So please tell.
That's how bad you thought this was.
Yeah.
Worthy of an apology call.
Yeah, I said, please apologize to them. And so then I left because they brought me in.
Yeah.
It was the test. It was the final thing. And I hadn't gone in yet. Like, they brought me straight to that. So that means the casting people were like, they told the directors, the producers, the studio, they were like, "We know the actor who can do that. We know the best one." Like, that's, you're thinking that's maybe what they said, right? And then I go in and flop.
Yeah.
It makes this casting people look like shit, right?
Right.
So I was like, "Please apologize. I didn't mean to make them look like shit." That type of thing. And my manager called me later. She was like, "Hey, John." I was like, "Hey, did you call them?" And she goes, "I did. I called them." And They said they don't know what you're talking about. The job is yours. I was like, what? So then for the rest of my run on Castle, I just like went to work every day and fucked up.
I think that's what the stank is, like giving it some stank.
Oh yeah, now I remember kind of I put
And
some
how that's
stank on
important,
it.
how
I put
that's-
every scene that I did, I put a little stank on it to make it look like my audition or something.
And what is that really though? I mean, like, I know you're joking, but I think there is something to that, right? I mean, there's like something like you're making it kind of like casual or something, or making it kind of seem like it's sputtering out.
Making it seem like it's hopefully improvisational.
Yeah,
like it's the first time I've said it, the first time the other characters have heard it, and that is part of like never doing it the same way.
Yeah.
And on Castle, because it was a dramedy, and Nathan and Seamus and Stan and I and all the actors used to come up with bits for scenes. A bit can get old, so if you can do something different every time you do the bit.
Yeah,
it's not getting known for the other actors, and hopefully they're also inspired to do the same thing. And so, I would always just try to do something different every time. So, and it was usually, I definitely can tell you that it probably had some stank on it.
Because no, I mean, this could get weird, right? When you're so disconnected from what they liked in an audition, like you're like, wait, if they like that, and I thought it was so bad it was worthy of an apology, how do I give them what they want now? It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Wait, so they wanted that. Wait, what?
Well, I mean, I didn't even know what it was because I put it out of my mind as soon as I walked out that door. I was like, I just wanted to erase whatever happened. So I don't even know what I did in that audition. I can tell you right now, sitting here, I cannot picture that audition or what I did. And some people will talk about like a job that they got, and they're like, yeah, I remember the audition, I did this, I did that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you because I literally purged it. I purged it. I said, nah, man, that was terrible. So I don't even know. I just showed up, when we shot the pilot, I just showed up and did my usual, I think, preparation and work. Right out here in New York, that's where we shot the pilot.
Yeah. The other thing I have to ask you that I've asked your other This Is Us co-stars is this idea of, at a certain point, I believe it's true that your character maybe even more than some of the writers, and like, or you've built something into the character that the writers should at least begin to respect enough to, in my mind, I would want to include you in, after a while, into a creative process. I know that's not necessarily what's done, but I was asking Susan, like, at a certain point, should the actor kind of want to do that? I don't know what's going to happen this season. Nobody knows. I don't even know if you know, but there's going to be some things filled in with your character in the past, right?
There is, I think, yeah.
And you as an actor may have filled some of that in for your own self, for your own work.
Absolutely.
And wouldn't it be good if the writers knew what you were thinking? Like, and they could either dispose of it or take it in, and it might actually make the work richer.
Yeah.
Is this insanity?
No, I think, up until I think last season, maybe even the season before, I always had a sit down at the beginning of this season with Dan Fogelman and Isaac and Elizabeth, and we would talk about what's going to happen and what's going on with my character. For me, my wish would have been that they had a Latinx writer in the writer's room. Over the run of the show, we just got one who worked in our writer's room as an assistant for I think the last 3 seasons, and he just got promoted to staff writer, which is great. Johnny, but he, he's coming in season 6, and it's, for me, my kind of worry sometimes for the adult male Latino characters that we see in television and film, my ultimate worry is that we'll be portrayed as some kind of stereotypical character, a narco, whether it be low level, high level, a worker with a, menial job, like a gardener or cook or valet or something like that.
Yeah.
Criminal. So that's my ultimate fear. Now, luckily on our show, Miguel is a pretty well-off, ambitious character when it comes to his professional life. He's, which we rarely see. He's a Latino who's gotten the girl.
Yeah.
Whether the audience loved that at the beginning is, left to the imagination. But some, I think some like Miguel and root for Miguel now, and he and Rebecca's relationship. But for the development of the character, the background, the backstory, that hasn't been as fleshed out as I would have liked to have seen it. We don't know what the relationship is with Miguel and his kids, which is, for me, when knowing what a Latinx family is like, keyword being family, like usually family is paramount to the Latinx household.
Yeah.
Like, family's tight. Like, so that's something that I wish we could have explored. And I think maybe weighing in a little bit more, but it just, for me, I don't know that it's that we have that kind of relationship, me and the writers and me and but this season coming up, I am going to definitely, because it's my job. If there is, especially if there's no writer like in the writer's room designated to my character, like there's no like Afro-Latino or Latinx writer. They say protect Miguel's character, make sure that everything stays in alignment, and make sure that we get some sprinkle in some development there. If you don't have that, then it's my job as the actor to kind of do that, and that's what I was doing, every season. So this season I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to make sure that if there are any gaps and holes that I feel like we need to fill, I'm going to say I think we should do this, and if we don't, then it's either I didn't fight hard enough for it, or they didn't listen to me and didn't want to do it. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, I mean, the one thing about the show though is that it's about the Pearson family, and that it was that Jack and Rebecca and the big three. It's really they're at the center of the story. And although I'm Rebecca's husband, I was still this kind of satellite character, as I was told, and so it's a little harder with as many characters as we have, I guess. This is what I speculate to really develop too much deeper, but it's something that I do think about, and that's why I started a company 6 years ago, and we're developing content. And the next show that I do, first of all, I want to live behind the camera way more than in front of the camera moving forward, unless it's something that is absolutely a must for me to do, which I would rather develop something like that for myself, so that now we see a Latinx character on television, specifically Afro-Latino, so that it's definitely inspired by who I am, and now I can inform the complete story. That's what I want to do. That's what I think it's time for. It's where we are in this industry. Like, we have enough platforms out there, from streaming to paid cable to premium cable to broadcast network television. We have so many platforms. There's room for everyone. There is room for everyone, so we need to get everyone out there. Marvel still hasn't made an adult male Latino superhero prevalent in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Latinos make up, Latinx people make up 18% of the United States. African Americans make up, I think it's 14%. We haven't had an adult male Latino Marvel superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. On screens, they've been making Marvel movies for 25, 30 years, right? Going back to X-Men and stuff like that, right? To me, that's disappointing. And I think it's sad that when we look at, here's what we project onto blacks and Latinos, that we're the at-risk. We're the at-risk people. And you talk about at-risk neighborhood, you talk about at-risk youth, the pictures are usually black and Latino. That's just what is projected onto us as blacks and Latinos. But it's also projected on everyone else. That's what media, that's what charitable organizations. That's what they tell you. They tell white people, they tell black people, they tell Asians, they tell people from the Middle East. They tell those people that here are the at-risk. These are the ones that are at risk of getting into gangs, going into crime, drugs. So we got to change that. We can't be telling people that anymore. We can't tell ourselves that anymore. I don't want to tell people that you're at risk. I read an article written by a black woman in LA about, I think it was in LA Times, and it was about the Inglewood, Ladera Heights area of LA, the southern area of LA, Inglewood. And, when they announced the new stadium in Inglewood for the Rams, housing prices went through the roof. That were, houses were, say, $400,000 as soon as they announced it. $300,000 increase on that house. It was now $700,000, and they've gone up. Now they're over $1 million, right? So a lot of people were selling their houses to families like, white families or mixed families or Asian families. And this woman wrote an article saying that blacks and Latinos are being driven out of our neighborhood by gentrification. The people that need affordable housing are being pushed out of our neighborhoods by white people that want to come in here. Now, I have a couple that I'm friends with, me and my wife. They're both white. One's from England and one's from Florida. They had been looking for a house. They wanted to have a baby for 2.5, 3 years. They couldn't afford a house in Culver City, in West LA, in Studio City, in Sherman Oaks. Like, they couldn't afford a house. To me, it looks like they needed affordable housing.
Yeah.
Now, you think about the families in Inglewood and Ladera Heights that had these houses in their families maybe for 2-3 generations. Some of these houses might be paid off, and suddenly it's worth $800,000. Now, some of those people may have, taken out a mortgage or something on those houses because they're about to lose it, right? Hard to make the payments, hard to make the tax payments on them. And suddenly there's an African American family or a Latino family that could sell their house for more money than they've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they can move out and they can move inland where there's no hood, in Temecula or Murrieta, which is an hour and a half south of LA. Really, it's nice out there. I'm actually looking for property out there myself right now, actively. But they could sell their house and for cash go buy a 4-bedroom house with a pool in the back. That's what they could do. More money than they've ever seen. To me, that's a good thing for a Latino family or a black family. And also get themselves out of the hood and get into a better school system maybe for their kids. To me, that's not a bad thing. And this woman wrote this, a black woman wrote this, and was projecting it onto our own people because she literally wrote that blacks and Latinos need affordable housing. Stop telling me that.
Yeah.
Stop telling. So that's what me as a actor, writer, director, the stories I'm going to tell are not going to be the same old stories that projects the same old, same old stereotypes that we've seen, especially that we need affordable housing. If I'm gonna develop a story, like, it's gonna be a very successful Latinx person, it's gonna be a very successful black person, it's gonna be a very successful gay man. I've got those are the types of projects that I'm finding and developing. That are people that have been usually like having to deal with angst surrounding who they are. No more, like, let's see somebody who's not dealing with any angst. Let's see someone who's, if it is angst, it's the same angst that a white person would have.
Right.
It's the same angst that a straight person would have. It's the same, it's just like, man, my wife is mad at me because I lied to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not because I have immigration status issues.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And what you're saying is making me think, like, how people are talking about you, even if they have even if their intentions are good. Like you're saying, like, the intentions were good. Messaging, and then it just affects you. It affects you when you see people's conflicts in these shows and these movies. And they're all about those things instead of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you see, like, a white character and their conflicts are different.
It's psyops. I mean, you project onto someone what you want them to believe or think. It's psyops, what we did in the military to people. And it's what my own family did to me when I said at middle school age, I want to be an actor. You can't be an actor. That's impossible. You will never become an actor. you don't live in LA, you don't have any family in the business. No, you should look at being an architect, or you should look at doing this. You should look at, and all the way through high school, all the way into college, all the way into the military. They were like, nobody was saying. I'm not gonna say nobody. There's a guy who was like a father figure to me in the Air Force, and he told me, "Yeah, man, one day you're gonna make it. One day you're gonna do it. I'm gonna have you sign this program from the first play that you did that I saw you do, and it's gonna mean something one day." And so he did it. But when you have your own family telling you, that's them projecting onto me, and I started believing it.
Right.
I thought it was the hardest decision I ever made to move to California to become an actor, because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it was possible to have a career, to work, to be able to pay bills, to be able to have health insurance, to be able to have a house, to support a family. Like, it just didn't seem real.
Yeah.
It was possible. So, and it was projected onto me by family, by guidance counselors, by teachers, always trying to tell me, do something different. And that's what we do to ourselves, and we keep telling ourselves, we need affordable housing. Yeah. We need help. We need a hand. Like, no, we're stronger than anybody.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think.
And imagine what the next generation, seeing your content, the next person that wants to be an actor who's a Latino in
Kansas.
Yeah. Is not gonna, maybe they're not gonna say you can't.
Right.
Because they're seeing the people on TV now.
Exactly.
Or soon, you know?
Yeah, that's what you want. You want people to, I want to be able to, look, even from this podcast, like if someone who's Latino or Latinx or Afro-Latino or Black is listening to me, I'm not going to say, some people would get in here and say, man, this is hard. If I was younger, I wouldn't, if I was a kid, I wouldn't try it. Like, I've heard other actors, you hear people tell their, I don't want my kids in this business. I tell them it's too long. I'm like, no, this is amazing. It's amazing to be able to do what we do, to tell stories for a living. And anybody can do it. If you pull up your bootstraps and you make sure that you become good at it, because that's the way that you succeed. You don't succeed by not, by not studying, by not jumping in now. If you're a little kid and you want to be an actor, start now. You better get on stage, get into sketches, start reading and writing as much as you can creatively. Read creative works, write creative works, start performing like now, and then just keep it going, because you have to be really fucking good at this to do it.
Yeah. As
an actor, as a writer, as a director, you have to be really fucking good. It's like an elite athlete. If you want to play, like, I would say being a professional actor is like being in the Olympics or playing in the Super Bowl. Those are elite athletes.
Yes.
If you want to have a career, if you want to make a living, like and what do they do? All these athletes, they train all the time. They're always practicing and/or training.
Yes.
All the time. So as an actor, you have to do that.
Yes. You're in New York for the Tribeca Film Festival. I just saw your short film, which I loved.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah, I loved it. They sent it to me.
Oh, good.
Too jacked. Really, really funny. Short. What is it that's pushing you mainly on that side of the camera?
Well, it is because of for me, the fact that I've only been directed by one adult male Latino on television, doing almost 400 episodes of television.
Wow.
In my career. I've only looked on the other side of the camera and seen one person that I thought he may have had some of the exact same life experiences I had, or he will understand why me as a Latinx actor would make the kind of choices that I make in the scene for my character.
Yeah.
This person will understand. So he's the only one that is the closest, and that's one guy. One guy. Now I've had Latinx females, a couple, direct me on television, which is great. And that's so they understand me better. But there hasn't been a lot of Latinx talent behind the camera. Not only as directors, but as writers. There's not as much. There's not 20%. If we represent 20% of the population, there's not 20% of writers and directors and
Right.
studio executives and we don't have 20% that are Latino in Hollywood and or New York. So I feel a responsibility as being in this business for 26, 27 years. So I feel a responsibility to step into some shoes. I should say I need to be there for the next crop that's coming up. So that's why I'm doing it.
So I ride my bike everywhere, all of seasons. Thing is, I've gained 15 pounds since my wedding in 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? Here's what I think. I think I've become acclimated to the exercise of the bike. Like I need other exercise.
You just switch it up, yeah.
Yeah,
true.
right? So what about the actor? Like, how have you not become acclimated, to your work is not acclimated. You were just talking about on Castle, like you guys shaking it up to make it fresh, but how about just as an actor, is continuing to work enough? Clearly it's not with my bike. It's not with my, you know what I mean? Like getting on the bike every day is not enough.
Right.
Getting in front of an audience every day over 20 years, or getting in front of a camera all the time, is that enough to keep you fresh, or does the actor have to change it up? And what is it that the actor has to do over time to keep that going? Can an actor become acclimated even if they're working constantly?
I mean, I'm no expert on any of it, so I don't think I have an answer that would be like, this is the definitive way to make sure that you don't get stale. I don't have that. I don't know. I mean, I think that for me, one of the reasons I do this is so that I could evoke, some sort of emotion from somebody, right? As a character and as a participant in the scene, so that the scene evokes some sort of emotion, or as part of the play will evoke some sort of emotion from the audience, and hopefully from my performance or a piece of my performance. But for me, I do this also for me, and I want to, there's a part of me that wants to entertain myself. When I was a little kid, I spent a lot of time entertaining myself. I just watched my boy Bill Bellamy is out here, and he did a comedy special.
Yeah, I saw
the
that
other
promoted,
night.
yeah.
Yeah, so he has one of his jokes is that, when you're poor, when you grow up poor, you talk to yourself. And so I used to talk to myself, and it was a way to entertain myself. Because, I didn't necessarily want to show everyone who I was when I was like out on the streets or whatever. I wanted to reserve a piece of me for me and entertain myself. And so when I do what I do now, like a part of it is for my own enjoyment, my own entertainment. Mm-hmm. So why would I want to be stale for myself? Why would I want to get stuck in doing the same thing, same type of character, first of all, the same types of choices? And I think, for me personally, Eric LaSalle was he was a substitute acting teacher for one of my coaches. And then he did some intensive courses where you can go in and just get like really intensive in your work. And this was, I guess probably almost 20 years ago now. Wow, that's crazy. And he was really he was hard on people that he thought could actually do this for a living. And he was like, don't ever show me the same choice. If I stop you in the middle of a scene and I ask you something about, a beat, intention, action, whatever it is, like when you start again, don't ever do the same thing. Don't ever show me something you've already done. And he said it in a way where, I was younger and he had been working already a long time. He was saying it like, I'll kick your ass if you do. Like, it was like, he said it like that.
Yeah.
Now trust me, I could take it.
Yeah.
I always have been able to take it. So I wasn't scared of that. But as a young actor, you're just, you're afraid if you don't listen to him, you won't be successful. And so, I feel like that's what will keep an actor fresh, will keep an actor interesting throughout their career, is if you just never make sure that you're never making the same choices on in scene work, on beats. Even if the beat in this scene from this film is very similar to a beat that you had in another film in another scene.
Right.
And we've seen these actors.
Oh yeah.
Where they do this, they'll say it the same way.
Because it worked.
Yeah, and those are the ones that can be impersonated on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that anybody, like me, I don't think that anybody could look at my work and go on Saturday Night Live and say, and people will go, and some actor starts impersonating me. Nobody at home is going, that's Jon Huertas.
That's a good
But
point.
if somebody goes on Saturday Night Live and starts doing Christopher Walken, hey,
Yeah.
we know that's Christopher Walken. You know what I'm saying?
That's
We
a
know
good
that's
point.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Yeah.
We know that's Tom Cruise even. Now, not knocking Tom Cruise, he's like a hero of mine. Tom Cruise has never had a lull in his career.
Yeah. That's right.
Every actor I know has had a lull in their career. Tom Cruise, no matter what,
It's a little weird.
has
yeah,
never
when you
had a
think about
lull in his career since he was like 17. Dude is just like, pow, pow, pow. He's a machine because he cares, first of all, deeply about his work, his career,
Yeah.
and he's just really good. There was a point in my life where I kind of was like, Tom Cruise, he's just Tom Cruise and everything. But I mean, he has, Magnolia. That was a performance that you were like, oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
He's done some Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Even like Live, Die, Repeat. He crushed it, and it's like Tom Cruise, like we know he does,
Yeah.
he does his thing. But for me, like I have to be different in almost every role. I got a movie I'm supposed to do coming up, and I'm just like right now I'm just in the script trying to figure out how is this guy going to be so much different from Miguel, so much different from Esposito and Castle, so much different from Aspire and Generation Kill, so much different from TJ and Joe Schmo, which that's really easy to be different from that guy. But like how can I make him just so much different, completely different? So you find another facet of yourself, and you bring that guy out.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a mental illness.
That's
maybe I have
probably-
that multiple personality disorder.
Probably why you're so good.
Maybe all good actors are crazy, right?
Yes.
So maybe I need to get crazier so I can get better as an actor.
Boom.
Boom! I'm just gonna go out here in New York and start making noises on the street corner.
Jon Huertas, thank you so much.
Thanks for kicking it with me, man.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham, formerly IFP. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.